What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're doing a 2-round mock draft after week 1 of the NFL season. So if you guys do like this type of stuff, you guys are new, feel free to stick around. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube jazz. I'm also doing a deep dive in college football, looking at players that you want to see, the matchups you want to see each week, as well as we're tracking every single week the players who are stocking up and stocking down. So again, stick around for those great series, and then we're also going to be doing rookie tracks where we're going to be able to project as well as kind of look back on some of these rookies over the past couple of years, look at their careers, and look at where they're projected to go. I just want to introduce fun series like that to the show to keep it unique, to keep it interesting for you guys. So without further ado, let's kick into this. This draft order is going to probably be very controversial. Basically, I have this set up from before. These were the records predictions, and you know what? Until we have a more generalized idea of how each team is going to do, that's when we're going to make massive changes. Now, Dak being out for a couple weeks shifted the Cowboys down a little bit, and that's fair to say is understandable. So, before you guys go off, this is not solidified. This is just based on what happened before, and you know what? Things are always subject to change. And if you think your team deserves a better spot, like the Giants deserve to be out of the top 10, just enjoy the fact that you have a good pick. So, how about that? Let's kick right into this. Let's have a little bit of fun here. So, starting off with pick number 1, we have the Bears. And yes, they beat the Niners. And the Niners are still projected to go to the playoffs. But also the Niners have an insurance policy. It helps out a little bit. But the Bears, I don't really think can replicate that. They have a lot of pieces going for them, but if you're sitting here at number 1 overall, you just have to get the BPA, the best player available. And since you have an early second-round pick, I feel comfortable going after maybe offensive line then. I'm going to go after the guy who could replace Khalil Mack. You know, you do obviously have Gibson there, and that's awesome. But Will Anderson, he's the answer for the future. Robert Quinn's getting older. I think that's just going to be the best return on your investment. Give Fields some more weapons later on because none of them are worth the number 1 pick. You don't want to blow a number 1 overall pick on somebody that, you know, will help out marginally compared to someone who could totally revamp your franchise. I mean, hell, you look at the Steelers, my Steelers, we have some great weapons there, but really the defense is what's going to win us games. So it is possible. But the Seahawks are here. Hallelujah, you guys beat Russell Wilson. That is awesome. Granted, it took 2 fumbles on the 1-yard line to do it. But regardless, you still won. You still got the W. Which, again, this will probably push you down the rankings. I really like Seattle. That's the thing. Like, when I looked at your roster, I was like, you guys get a legitimate QB1. Which I know a lot of people are joking and clowning about Geno being a true QB1. Then you guys are going to be dominant as hell. You know, Cross, he let up a couple pressures last night, and he ended up letting up a sack, a pretty big one, that ended up being a fumble, which he caught in midair, so it's kind of cool. But he's developing. He's super young. He's still getting used to his own body. And unfortunately, since Will Anderson's off the board, I'm not 100% sure Myles Murphy would give you that competitive edge that you guys are looking for. Doesn't exactly fit what I think you guys would want either. So for me, I'm going to be going Bryce Young here. Again, this guy, people are going to say, oh, look at the Texas game. Yeah, look at the Texas game. He's the only reason they could have won in Jahmyr Gibbs. No shading Jahmyr Gibbs. The guy's a freaking baller. But Bryce Young is absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, you had a lot of success with Russell Wilson. Bryce Young, people are saying, and I don't think it's that off, he's the next Russell Wilson. Just a perfect guy in the pocket. He's great on the move, and then he's laser accurate. And again, he is, to me, by far the QB1 of this class, especially after we unfortunately saw AR-15 take that big step back. Pick number 3, we have the Falcons here. And I'm going to respect Desmond Ridder and say that Desmond Ridder hasn't had a legitimate opportunity yet. So when you look at the guys who are available, I think going after pass rush is probably your best return. So I'm going to go Myles Murphy here. Some people will say go Jalen Carter, and I totally respect that. And again, he's a really damn good player. So choose either one. But for me, I have Myles Murphy as still the number 1 guy in the class. I do think that he's just so well balanced, and you guys are finally getting pressure. This guy is elite in the run game, an extremely damn good technician. Like, there's just, I can't say enough about Myles Murphy. He's not the flashiest player in the world, but damn, he might be the best. And I just love him. I'm a huge fan, like big fan. If you guys see me checking up there, it's just to make sure that's where all the recording equipment is. If you guys are new, I'm changing my recording software as well as pretty much everything that we're doing here. So want to make sure everything is doing just fine. Pick number 4. If the Texans are here, they looked really good, by the way. So very happy to see that. I assume you could go QB. You could. We're going to say that you guys actually don't. I don't know why. Something in my gut's telling me that you're not going to use one of these picks on a quarterback. I don't think Lovey's the type to do that. And I don't know how much of an upgrade any of these quarterbacks are over Davis Mills at this moment. And let me just put this frame in your mindset. Let's just say we go Jalen Carter and some other position. I haven't decided who I'm getting yet. But this is all live, by the way. Just for you guys who are wondering, I don't pre-record any of this stuff. I think that's really boring. It's more fun to just have the rapid fire. I'd much rather have Jalen Carter and some other stud and then Caleb Williams the next year if you still suck, rather than I'm going to get a quarterback that probably doesn't elevate me to playoff contention and then get one really good player, and then the next year I get a semi-good player. So that's my mindset right now. And also, I want to be a little bit different than the mocks that we're doing. By the way, Jalen Carter's a freak. Again, that's what I was saying. You could flip these if you want to. Jalen Carter's very unique, but I have right here my entire draft board for you guys. Not releasing it on an official video. You guys have to check out the live streams for that because that is exactly what I like to do. I like to make sure the people who do come and watch the live streams end up really getting the true full experience that you guys who are just watching this can't exactly fully get. You still do, but you don't get to see the board live and in person. So another guy who I would possibly want to look at this spot, I mean, I think their DBs are fine. I don't think Lovie Smith's really going to be hammering that hard. But something I am concerned about is the potential for an offensive tackle / offensive guard to be potentially moving. So obviously you got Kenyon Green last year. He has tackle versatility. I strongly believe that he could play a tackle position. But Titus Howard's coming up for a contract. Tackles are very expensive. And this is a good spot to say, hey, I'm going to fill it with a guy who is a good hybrid tackle. And I am very high on this player. Again, this is my mock draft. It's based on my board. So I'm actually going to be going after Anton Harrison here. He has played left and right tackle at a very, very, very high level for his entire career. Switched to right tackle this year. And you know what? That sounds amazing to me because I think that is perfect for what the Texans are trying to build. Again, you're trying to build the best team overall. You have Dameon Pierce. You have weapons. No guys are really worth it at this spot to be able to bring into the mix. But you have Jalen Carter. You have Anton Harrison. You're building your front, which is something Lovey would do. And then you're just going to be kicking frickin' ass, man. I'm telling you, you're having the foundation for an elite team coming maybe even next year. Maybe not like next year, but like at this point, after Caleb Williams potentially gets drafted or Quinn Ewers, you have potential for a legitimately elite team. So keep your eyes out for that. I just want to keep that in the mix. Patriots don't have a signal caller, so don't at me about them being this high. They honestly might be even higher when all is said and done. But they do need weapons, and Jackson Smith and Jigba is a really fun option for me for this team. But I'm going to show some love to a man who has been absolutely freaking dominant. And he already has over 100 yards after the catch. I think he has already 4 touchdowns in 2 weeks. That's Jordan Addison. And he's just been dynamic wherever he goes. He was a Blitnikoff winner with Kenny Pickett, who I don't think is that far off as a passer from Mac Jones. And I'm not trying to shit on Mac Jones here. I'm saying Jordan Addison might be even better with Mac Jones than he was with Kenny Pickett. And he was the best wide receiver in college. I think Jordan Addison legitimately could be that difference maker. Offensive tackle, certainly an option. Corner, certainly an option. I think that's better value round 2. Jordan Addison has risen the ranks exponentially. He's up to 18 on my board right now, and that's being very conservative. If I wanted to overreact, I'd be putting him way higher. Pick number 7. The Giants, if they're sitting here, you got to go QB. And Anthony Richardson's not ready day 1. I mean, I hate taking CJ Stroud this high because I don't have him actually as my QB2. But the fact is, he worked really well with Brian Dable, and I think that's just the best choice for the team overall. So there you go. You get a QB who could actually probably step in day one and be able to produce. So good for you guys. The Jets are on the clock. Tackle is primary need right now. And whether you want to go Peter Skoronski, Broderick Jones, Darnell Wright in the second, you need an offensive lineman. No doubt about it. We're going Peter Skoronski. He is my number one tackle in the class, does not have that versatility, and similar to Charles Cross, he just put on 20 pounds and he's still getting used to his body, even though he has been freaking dominant. Granted, you have to say that's not against legitimate NFL talent yet, but he was really good week one, and now he's going to be continuing. I think he has a chance of really being unbelievable. But again, that tackle versatility, or that right to left tackle versatility, really put Anton Harrison into that next league for me, for the Texans specifically. The Cowboys are sitting here, and my God, would I have loved Peter Skoronski. I would have loved him. And I was a huge Tyler Smith fan. I think that's a great option for the team overall, and I personally think that he should be a guard. They didn't draft him for that. Broderick Jones is someone who I really want to hone in on. I think that's the guy who I'm going to take. Offensive line is how the Dallas Cowboys came to be consistently amazing year after year after year. If you want to develop Dak Prescott into this true top 5 quarterback, he cannot be getting crushed every single game. And offensive line, through free agency acquisitions, unless you're going after a guy like Teron Armstead or Trent Williams, they are not going to pan out the way that probably an offensive lineman could from the draft. So, again, you want to look at this. If you are like that attached to him, maybe wait till the second. Draft a guy like, Andrew Voorhees to be a guard if you really think Tyler Smith's going to be your tackle. But again, I just don't know how you could just sit there and say, hey, we're perfectly fine. Wide receiver is definitely an option here. I think that's something they could go after. But free agency does exist, and there's a lot of good wide receivers out there, and there's a lot of good ones even in the second round. For me, I'd much rather do that. Tight end, not worth it for me. Running back, God, you have enough as it is. So, realistically, I don't see the value here. I don't. You could go edge, but you have Sam Williams developing, and unless I'm taking a Will Anderson level talent, I am not going to be going and taking somebody who could be as good as that, and I'm not going to disrupt that type of flow. So, I am going to actually do something that people are going to get pissed off about. Granted, I know you guys miss it to death. Broderick Jones is a top 10 player in this class. Okay, let's make sure. Okay, I have him at 15. Whoop-de-doo. He's an offensive tackle who's an absolute baller, and he's been performing very well for Georgia. Again, you see 3 tackles go in the top 10. Not out of the question at all. Again, these are really good players in a really solid tackle class. It's starting to shape up a lot better, and I'm a huge fan of that. Pick number 10, the Cardinals. Why are the Cardinals here? DeAndre Hopkins isn't there for a portion of the year. You guys don't have really any corners except Trayvon Mullen, who already started out the year not available. So it's not looking great. You have a lot of pieces there, and that's wonderful. But I still think you need a lockdown corner. Someone like Keely Ringo, Garrett Williams, both those guys are going to be phenomenal. I don't think you're going to complain with either. And regardless of your spot, I would take a corner for you. Keely Ringo, Jalen Jones, Joey Porter. You guys get the hint. You guys understand. Now, Washington should probably, if they perform the way they should, where Carson Wentz is actually performing at his best ability, you might be seeing them down in this range, right? Now, we're just going to say pause for a second about that. They're going to be here at pick 11 because, again, it could also be Carson Wentz. So I think DB, solid option for the team. I don't think they need a new quarterback. If they are at pick 11, it would not be an awful idea. But tight end, not worth it. Running back, not worth it. Offensive line, I think you're fine. So DB probably is your best route. Because, again, I don't think linebacker, these linebackers aren't good enough for that. So I'm looking at the guys here. And honestly, I'm a huge fan of Antonio Johnson. I know that he's a safety, slot corner, and boundary corner hybrid. For me, he's a top 10 player in the class. I do want to show some love here. I will be diverting to a different corner, though. And that corner is Garrett Williams. The dude is lightning fast, and then he is an elite coverage corner. I'm a big fanboy of Garrett Williams. We'll put it that way. Huge fan of Garrett Williams. Let's continue on. Pick number 12, we have the Jaguars on the board. The fact that I saw a mock draft, and I just put this up, and if you guys do like looking at other people's mock drafts, I give my own opinions on them, and then I continue them. I think that's the best part of it. But the Jaguars got Brian Breesy after acquiring Foley, Fatukasi, and free agency. Just stupid, to be honest. I think a wide receiver is a good position to target. Now, offensive line is another good position to target. We might do that in the second round. So I think wide receiver is paramount. Now, Quentin Johnston certainly is of that type of tier, but I think Jackson Smith and Jigba was what you were hoping for out of out of Laviska Shenault, and he's probably going to be the guy who can deliver that to you. You need a solid, consistent, steady target. You want that with Zay Jones. I don't think that's going to be very replicable over time, but Jackson Smith and Jigba definitely could provide that for you. Now, this is a 2-round mock. I got to speed this up, don't I? But for the Panthers pick here, you have time to develop a QB at this point. You don't need to just rush and do shit. We're going Anthony Richardson. We still are. Number 11 on my board. He dropped from number 4, so it's a significant drop. But dude needs some time to develop. Let's pray to God Ben McAdoo's not the dude there. But, cheers to you guys. You got Anthony Richardson. So pick number 14, we have the Titans on the board. Is this ludicrous? Maybe. I don't really think so. But pass rusher is an option because I think Andre Carter's a stud. I think Will McDonald is a stud. But, again, offensive line is paramount. I want to look at guys who are available. I love the idea of Paris Johnson, not because you're pairing him back up with Nicholas Petit-Ferrer on the offensive line, but because he has that guard versatility where you can play him immediately and then transition to him to tackle, or play him at tackle, transition him to guard. I think that value, again, I am much lower on Paris Johnson, but I think that value in itself is definitely worth it. Big fan of that. Pick number 15 for the Steelers. I think a corner in round 2 is a better idea. Another team I would have considered Paris Johnson too, of course. So I want to look at other spots. I want to look at safety here. And I know y'all are going to go batshit crazy if I go J.L. Skinner here. But you bet your ass he's the best safety in the class. So, if we're going to count Antonio Johnson not as a safety. But we're going to still go the corner route. We are going to go after Joey Porter Jr. His dad played for the team. He's number 7. Where is he on my board? Number 7 on my board. The guy is a freak. He's a baller. I'm a huge fan of him. It's a perfect fit as well. Great in zone coverage. Great in press. Great in the run game too. This guy is easily a top 10 player for me. So I'm just happy to see him go to a place where he really, truly belongs. Pick number 16, the Raiders. This team needs offensive line, and the tackles are gone, so you have to divert it towards probably a guard. That being said, let's hold the horses really quick. Corner is still a very good option to target. You don't even have Trayvon Mullen anymore. Nate Hobbs is a baller. I'm not shitting on him. Don't get me wrong on that one. He's a baller. But for me, when I'm looking at this, I want to see my next corner available. And did we already take Garrett Williams? We did. He's such a stud. I'm a huge fan. This corner class is ridiculous. I am actually going to go after someone who I think this team would absolutely love. And he's a little bit down the board. He's 6 foot, 212 pounds, and returns kicks or punts, whatever. He is so good. I love Tyreek Stevenson. He runs probably in the 4.4s. You can't really be a slow returner. And he is locked down as a corner. Such a good guy, even in run support, great in press, and great in one-on-one situations. This guy's what you're looking for to have a dominant corner 1 there in Vegas. So you have the Eagles here via New Orleans. You might say, how the hell did New Orleans get a better record than the Raiders? They didn't. They just did much better in the seeding in the NFC, which I think there's a very large disparity between the teams that are really good and the teams that suck. Therefore, you're just naturally going to rank better if you suck. That's just the way it is. I think the AFC is a lot better overall. But the Eagles sitting here, I think that they could definitely look at an edge rusher. And I love Andre Carter because he can play a multitude of roles. Is he the best coverage dude in the world? No. And I pray to God they don't use... I know they're using Hassan Reddick in that role a little bit, and they're having him drop into coverage. I'm like, just Stop. Just pause. Andre Carter is so good. I really like. So they were looking actually during the draft at an edge rusher, and they're looking at wide receiver as well. So I think getting Andre Carter would be a phenomenal option. Again, the idea for a long-term edge rusher is still there. Now you can address it with Andre Carter, who is 260 pounds, 6'7", and I think he might even run in the 4.4s. Legitimate freak athlete. I love him to death. So looking at the guys who are still available in my top 10, you got Jalen Jones here, and I'm not going to, he hasn't solidified a top 10 because he hasn't played this year yet, but last year's tape, ungodly. So we still got to shout him out right there. Nobody else besides Antonio Johnson's in that mold, so we can definitely have a little bit more free reign to do what we want. The Seattle Seahawks went after Bryce Young with their first pick. This one is going to be a corner. It is. And you know what? We're going to do it. So we're going to select Tyke Smith. It's going to be Jalen Jones. It is. He's big, bulky, 6'2", 205 pounds, athletic enough, and he's sticky in coverage. You have two developmental corners for sure, but I want a guy who can step in day one and just ball the F out. So again, if you guys missed that, that's Jalen Jones out of Texas A&M. The guy is just so good. Speaking of Texas A&M, I don't even care who I took for the Lions in the first pick. I do. Oh, this is their first pick. So yeah, I'm a believer in the Lions. They went 7 and 10, or I think they went 8 and 9. It's not that crazy. But Antonio Johnson's my guy for this. Again, I think that if Jared Goff is good enough, you can definitely play at an elite level. I think Antonio Johnson certainly is worth the pick. He's number 10 on my board, so we've officially cleared my top 10 here. Looking at guys who are still on the board, number 12 is Will McDonald, so he's definitely going to be selected sometime soon. I have him kind of like a slightly worse version of Kayvon Thibodeaux. Yes, that's ballsy to say, but I'm a huge fan. So for the Dolphins, I could look at a tackle here with Darnell Wright. He's a right tackle right now, and he's played left tackle as well at a very high level. I have a second-round grade on him. That would not be an awful decision because I really don't think this team needs much besides a quarterback. The more I watch it, I'm not that big of a fan of Tua. Now, could they do that? 100%. I just don't know how much of an upgrade TVD is over him, right? There's a certain point where it's I don't know if I'm getting a better player, and that is where you start having a little bit of danger. So we're going to hold off on that one for the time being. I might want to get Quentin Johnston here just as your true big. He's good after the catch, too. That might be so fun. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this, because, again, you could go tight end, but I'm just going to do that round 2. We're going to go Quentin Johnston here. I think it's a good move. He's a big-bodied receiver who's good after the catch, fast enough. It's kind of like what you're hoping to replace or what you're hoping to have in Devontae Parker, but a lot better. So we're going to get a drink of water here. You need it when you do these videos. But the Vikings on the board. So the Vikings, I got to get a corner as well. It's going to be corner mania, but I'm a big fan of corners. I think Cam Smith could be definitely worth this. I think he's a very sticky man-to-man corner. I have him graded out as a second-round pick. However, when the board falls this way and when he's a great fit for a franchise, I think it's perfectly fine to do that. My Lord. So, pick number 22. Left tackle, still a huge issue. Darnell Wright, I think, fits perfectly. Now, you could look at a different position here, but I'm not going to. I think that's just the best thing you can do. And they don't really have... We'll select Zion Nelson as the holder pick, but we're going to go Darnell Wright, tackle out of Tennessee. He plays right tackle right now, but he played left tackle at an extremely high level. So I'm thinking about in the future potentially making this the Penn State left tackle because that kid looks really good. But pick number 23, we have the Lions on the board, and we just went after Antonio Johnson, who is a baller. Big fan of that. Now, we could go after another receiver here, continue to make the team more well-balanced. You could go after a guard here, because I think interior offensive line is never a bad position to upgrade over Hal Vaitai or Jonah Jackson. I could see it, but I'm going to go linebacker here. I'm going to take the first one off the board. Trent Simpson's fun, but I think you need an established guy with Noah Sewell. Trent Simpson, he needs still a little bit more development. This is not the team I really would want to play someone into like that. He can pair up with Malcolm Rodriguez and create a nice duo there. 24, the Chiefs are on the board. Now the Chiefs, I don't really think they need actually that much. So I think they're going to resort to Mr. Patty Mahomes' idea of what they should have. Now, I don't really think they exactly need much, again. So I'm going to go running back, and I think this guy's going to put him above Bijan for this team specifically. Not saying he's better than Bijan, because, again, Bijan's my number one. But Jahmyr Gibbs just takes the lid off of teams. He is ungodly. So before the Bijan haters Bijan lovers come in trying to say I'm a hater, he's my number one running back. Solidified. Jahmyr's not. But Jahmyr is the best fit for the Kansas City Chiefs. Pick number 25. We have the Packers on the board. And I think a tight end is fine here. I do. I think Michael Mayer is a great option to give. Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, a solid option. Robert Tonyan's on a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. Michael Mayer is going to get drafted in the first. I don't have him there, but we like to blend some realism into here as well. The Bengals are on the board. Another team where I could have seen him go after someone like Michael Mayer. Now, they honestly, again, don't really need much, but offensive line is still an issue. So I'm going to be drafting a guard out of Florida who God only knows why he's not included on this. We're going to have the placeholder be Jarrett Patterson, but it is Osiris Torrance out of Florida. The guy's just been balling out this year. He's ranked number 26, coincidentally, on my board. The guy's just too damn good. Pick number 27, we have the Chargers, and I mean, this pick, this is going to be a fun one. I'm going to do it. Trent Simpson. I know they need other positions for sure, but linebacker has always been an issue for them, and Trent Simpson just has ungodly talent. So personally, I want to fill the void. Let's do it. Eagles at 28, we're going a corner here. We are. Eli Ricks is a perfect fit. I know, you're saying, Alex, how many corners can go in round one? But just think about how many teams need corner and how good this corner class is, and it starts to line up. It's a high-valued position that is in low supply. So Eli Ricks coming in there, supporting James Bradberry. He has had some personality concerns, but his play nonetheless is still top tier. For the Ravens, I wish I could say that Quentin Johnston's still on the board. He's not. So let's look at other options for this team. Now, do they need running back? Not really. Tight end? No. Wide receiver? Yeah. Tackle? Don't think so. Line? Maybe a guard. Like, this team just doesn't need anything. So naturally, I like to go after probably like some high-end edge rusher. And this is actually, I didn't even think about this until right now. This is where we're going to feature. So spoiler alert, we're not going to take Foskey in this, but we're going to put Jared Verse, pass rusher out of Florida State. He's making his first appearance into this. So again, it says Isaiah Foskey. It's Jared Verse out of Florida State. I'm not a fan of Foskey, so that's just the way it is. He's right now ranked 88th on my board, but if he has one more week of continuous development, which I think he will, he's in the top 32. That's how good he is. He's just that phenomenal. Buccaneers. Bijan's on the board. I feel bad. The Eagles fans are going to tear me apart for not taking Bijan. But, dude, if you guys had no corner in the second round, you guys are going to have so many running backs, you guys are going to be fine. Bijan's the option there. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a better fit, but it's BPA. The Bills are on the board, and honestly, I want to look at all of this. Dude, Gervon Dexter would be so nasty, but I think interior offensive line help is probably the best way to go. Safety is a position where I'd like to target, but I mean, again, I think there's a big drop-off on the interior dudes after Andrew Voorhees and Osiris Torrance, so that's where I'm going to be going right there. So let's start round two. I know, I've taken up so much of our time with round one, but that's a really crucial time, right? So the Bears ended up going after Will Anderson. I think this could be a good spot to look at someone maybe like Brian Breesy, continue to develop the defense, or to look at offensive line. Now, you know what? It would be really fun. Let's feature that Penn State left tackle. And you know what? I'm actually going to look up his name right now. He was just on the stock exchange. So I gotta show some love, right? I mean, the guy is a redshirt sophomore, which, I mean, hey, cheers to that. I love that. But a redshirt sophomore who is just balling out, man. And he's been doing a great job. I'm making sure I say his name right. Alum. Oh my God, this is gonna be awful. Alumuwia. Oh Jesus. Alumuwia Fashanu. So we'll call him OF. So big OF here. He had 54 blocks. He had 36 pass blocking reps. 0 pressures allowed against Ohio. Granted, it's against Ohio, but the dude's just balling out. We're going to be putting it Robert Foster in here. But again, just keep in mind that that is the dude that we're drafting. He's just really good. He's used to that type of climate. I think that the Bears will have very high opinions of Mr. Fashanu. We're having some fun here, guys. We're adding in some new players. Number 33, the Seahawks are on the board. They have already gone after... Did they go after Sewell? They did not. They went after... They went after Jalen Jones. I love it. Jalen Jones and Bryce Young. I think that you could continue the trend of linebackers here and get the only other linebacker that I might draft in this draft in Henry To'o. I don't think Jack Campbell is very good. Just to simply put it. So Henry To'o definitely going to be my guy. The Falcons, now again, you could be trying to target other positions. I think corner's not too shabby of a position to target. But I am going to bow down. Brian Breesy looks a lot better. I would like to go Gervon Dexter here, but we do have to show some love to Brian Breesy. Gervon's going to be going soon anyway. But the Browns are on the board. And again, if you're picking here, you finally are able to have an entire offseason, hopefully without suspensions. Wide receiver is a good position to target, and I think Jermaine Burton is an excellent pairing to Amari Cooper. Kind of going to be that guy that you were kind of hoping for out of Anthony Schwartz. So, fingers crossed for you guys. Pick number 36, we have the Texans on the board, who already went after Jalen Carter as well as Jordan Addison. That's actually really fun. I'm actually very happy with that. I'm a big fan of that. So let's continue the trend here. I wish I could go Gervon Dexter here for you guys, but not able to. It's okay. Again, I would have loved to potentially go after that left tackle as well. So we didn't actually go O-line. That's a surprise to me. I like going offensive line for you guys. But when you think about it, you could go a pure safety at this moment and just go after a pure strong. You guys can let me know who it is. I'm just in love with JL Skinner. That's just my thing. I love JL Skinner to death. But let's look back at the guys who are still on my board. Oh, pass rusher is perfectly fine to go after here. Totally tripped up. Will McDonald's still on the board. So we're going to go Will McDonald here. Will McDonald the 4th out of Iowa State. Guy's a freak, and I think that'd be great with Lovie Smith's defense. Just a really good player. He's been playing very similar role to that. So big plus right there. Pick 37, we have the Patriots. And I want to make sure, because I know this was Jared Verse, that we did not already draft him earlier, because that'd be high-key embarrassing, but we did not. So pick number 37 with the Patriots. Let's see, is there any other corners that I could potentially take here? We have a bunch of slot guys. Oh, but Brian Branch is so elite. We're going to take him. I know. I don't think he's going to be a pure boundary, but he's a super hybrid guy, and he's so dynamic. It's so worth it. I'm a big fan of that. Who do we take in the first for him? Who do we do it? Did we take a wide receiver? Who do we take? Oh, we took Jordan Addison. Oh, I'm tripping balls. So we took Anton Harrison, the offensive lineman for the Texans. We built the trenches, not Jordan Addison. My bad, y'all. It doesn't change any of the picks. I still think that's perfectly fine. There's no offensive tackles worth it, to be honest. But tripped up. But now you have even better front seven for both sides. So awesome. Love the defensive line and offensive line additions for the Texans there. You guys are going to be doing great. The Giants, you went after AR-15. I think a good position to probably try to target maybe is to get another player like Gervon Dexter, go BPA. You could go running back as well. You might say, hey, Saquon, you're balling out, but we can't give you that long-term contract, so here's your successor. It is possible, but I think a tight end wouldn't be a bad idea either. I know you went after, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He was like a 4th-round pick. Dane Belton's a safety. I'm tripping. But you guys know who he is. You guys can remind me down in the comment section. But I think going after a more of a Dawson Knox type is what I would be looking for. And I see Jaheim Bell as just such a fun option with the ball in his hands. You're just building your team for success right now. I really do think that's the best thing that you can do. The Jets, we went Peter Skoronski, if I'm not mistaken, in the first. We did. Awesome. Big fan of that. Now, we can try to focus on maybe another position. So, running back is not a position you ever need to focus on again. Tight end, I think is. CJ Uzomah, come on, guys. I know we love him, but, we also drafted Jeremy Ruckert. Okay, I wasn't a fan of Jeremy Ruckert, so I'm a little bit biased there. Granted, safety is not a bad position to target here. Am I going to screw my Steelers over? I think I am. Jalen Skinner is too good to pass on. I know the safety core is perfectly fine. You brought in a guy during free agency, but dude, Jalen Skinner's too good. He's number 26 on my board. Let's see who's still available. Gervon Dexter is on my board. Might be the Cowboys pick, to be honest with you. But you got Gervon Dexter at 13. Is there anybody else? Tyler Van Dyke. So we got two players. Clark Phillips. Kayvon Butte. Yes, he's still on the board. He has drop issues. It's okay. Honestly, why am I even considering this? This is this pick. Who did we go with? We went Broderick Jones with the first pick. I don't even know why I'm looking back. We're going Kayvon Butte here. He's a stud. Big fan of that. But, so Kayvon Butte is finally off the board. But you got Xavier Henderson as well. Chris Abrams-Drain, and that is going to end off the dudes who are left from my first round. So, I honestly think this is a great spot to be able to put Gervon Dexter, though. Like, what do you guys think? I think that's great. The Cardinals could definitely use some help on the interior. My number 13 player in the class, falling to 41. It's the draft, y'all. It's what happens. Pick number 42, Washington's back on the board. Did we go corner for them in the first? We went Garrett Williams. I love Garrett Williams. This is a tough spot for me because I don't really know exactly where to go with this team because, again, they're really stacked. Like, they do have pretty much everything you're looking for. But we could go tight end. I know people are going to get pissed at this because people love their Logan Thomas. But Sam Laporta is the only tight end worth a first-round pick on my actual board. He's my tight end 1. I'm just a huge fanboy of him, so we're going to continue that trend. Pick number 43, we have the Jaguars. And I want to look at the offensive line still available. Because, none of these guys are good enough. That's what sucks, man. It really does. John Michael Schmitz is good. I think that he could play. But legitimately, you need some help on the interior. I know you brought in Norwell's, so you swapped Norwell and Scherf. So you have Scherf now. But, man, I legitimately want to just, I want to continue fixing that. But I might not. Let's look at the guys who are available. Running back's not a need for you. A wide receiver, we already drafted one for you. Let's make sure we actually drafted one for you guys. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Makes sense. I might want to go with another one, too. We might just go wide receiver. But let's look at the other positions. Again, offensive line's pretty barren. Corner at this point, unless you're looking for a slot, it's pretty barren. I think linebacker wouldn't be awful to address, but you just drafted one in the first round this past year. So, again, you have a really good team. So we're going to look at it. We're actually going to take a look at wide receiver, and we're going to get someone who's very nasty with the ball in his hands. It's Raheem Jarrett. The dude has unbelievable speed, really good returner. Again, you're just trying to maximize your team right now. The weapons are not good enough. Pick 44. Did we go edge for the first, or did we go after a quarterback with the Panthers? We went after a quarterback, didn't we? We went Anthony Richardson. Okay, so I'm tripping. We went C.J. Stroud with the Giants. I'm so used to going to AR-15 with them. So we went Anthony Richardson. I think now wouldn't be a bad time to look at more offensive line help, or to look maybe at another backup running back who could be someone where, again, Christian McCaffrey is going to get hurt. Would not be a bad option to bring him in. Now, when looking at it, why don't we just get an edge player? I'm tripping. I don't even know what's going on in my mind anymore. But let's go an edge player here. And I want to see the next guy who is available on my list. It is ZTF, but I'm very scared shitless of what he will become. I'm going to take a super high ceiling guy in Darrell Shawmy. This guy is so good. You guys like Foskey. This guy is basically the better version in the exact same body. Like, still 6'4", 260. And he flies. Big fan of Darrell Shawmy here. Rep Maryland, who's going to probably crush SMU. So, pony up. Love that. But pick number 45, you have the Titans back on the board. We went after an offensive lineman in the first, and it was Paris Johnson. So let's see what we can do with this pick. Let's see what fun we can have. We're not going to go running back because I already know I'm not in the mood to be absolutely shredded by you. Getting a weapon like Eric Gilbert's going to be fun, though. Let's have some fun. We're gonna go Eric Gilbert here. Pick number 46 for the Steelers. You know, at this point, we went after Joey Porter in the first. There's no corners at this point in the draft. I still want to see who's available, like corner safety hybrids. Chris Abrams-Drain would not be a bad option, and it is a potential option for me. But I'm actually going to go after a tackle here. Javon Foster is really good in run blocking, but then he also proved against Felix Anudike-Uzomah that he was actually able to hold up into pass pro. So good for him. He's been a riser on my board. I think that'd be a great option for the Steelers. Pick 47 for the Raiders. I'm making sure that none of these guys are slipping through the cracks. They are not. Yeah, no, there's majority of guys who are still on the board who I have are actually just like running backs. So running back is a position I would still target here. I think, we're seeing Tyler Van Dyke fall, but that's just the modern NFL. I don't know if he's going to be valued at the way that some of us think he could be. This is going to be Sean Tucker. He's been putting up some big games. Chase Brown also needs to be in this equation, but yeah, he's been balling out. The Saints are actually going to go quarterback, though. They're going Tyler Van Dyke. It's too far for TVD to fall. That's just the way that it goes. I don't see that many teams in need of a quarterback at the moment. So Tyler Van Dyke, that's the way we rock. Now, we have the Let's Ride pick of the Seahawks here. And what have we gotten so far? We've gotten, where's the first pick? We got HTT, we got Bryce Young, and then we also got Jalen Jones. So, pretty well-rounded picks here. I think that's a good option. I think center wouldn't be a bad option. And I do have John Michael Schmitz worth about this grade. So, getting another player to play that role, to be able to help out the offensive line, I think is key for success. Pick 50, the Lions are back on the board. Again, I'd be open to taking Will Levis or Tanner McKee at this point in the draft, just because you have Jared Goff and it's like, screw it, it's Will Levis, right? But let's look at the other options. I don't think there's the wide receivers except for Xavier Hutchinson, which I don't know if you guys would be into in the first place. But, we've already gotten a DB for you. Let's do it. You know what? This is going to piss people off because I always say Will Levis is ass. And he is, respectively, but you're still going to sit him a year, and it's the late second round pick. It's a free pick. So pick number 51, let's see what we did for the Dolphins in the first. We went Quentin Johnston. So this one's pretty easy for me. I'm going to go BJ Ojolari. Getting some extra edge help there is more than something that I would consider. It's something that I would really want. So BJ Ojolari it is. The Niners have their first pick, and this would have been honestly great for John Michael Schmitz, who I think would be a really good run blocker for him, or Javon Foster. But Blake Freeland, I think, would not be a bad guy to have as a hybrid interior and tackle combo. But Braxton Jones, he's been playing really well. It's hard for me to just say, screw it, we're going to do that. So let's look at other positions. I think corner would be a solid option, and slot has been something that's been a little bit tough to fill consistently over the years. Chris Abrams-Drain, he's just so good. Number 32 on my board. Number 31 now on my board. Guy just deserves all the love in the world. Pick 53 for the Vikings. Again, if you are at that spot, you could consider Tanner McKee here. I just don't think he upgrades your roster. The question is really what else does. And I think maybe getting a safety like Jalen Catalon would be a really fun step towards creating a very dynamic duo back there with two high-end safeties. Pick number 54 for the Colts. Yes, I traded the pick. So people are probably wondering, like, hey, where's going to be the Washington pick? Washington probably going to play Commander Wentz all year. So now we're going to have this be the Colts pick. Have we had another Colts pick so far? No, we did not. Did we? I'm tripping. Where's the other Colts pick? Regardless, so we'll discuss that in a second. Did we actually already? I'm so tripping. That's crazy. I don't know why. I don't know what the hell happened. But regardless, we're gonna continue. We're gonna keep pushing on. This is gonna be Tanner McKee. I think we went after an offensive lineman in the first. We're going Tanner McKee now. I think it's a great option for him. It's great to have Matt Ryan's successor on the roster. Pick number 55 with the Rams. Offensive line still there, man. Blake Freeland. I'm telling you, that's the guy who I'd love to put in there. Kansas City Chiefs. So, again, another team that doesn't really need much, but we already went a running back for him, too. You could get an extra safety in there just for fun, but, I mean, hell, this team really doesn't need much. I don't really think any of these defensive interiors are exciting me. Ooh, actually, I love Tyler Davis. I'm going to put Tyler Davis in here. I have him actually graded technically right now above his teammate Brian Breesy, but I know in the end that Brian Breesy is going to outgrade him based on this year's tape alone. But Packers, who do we get for you guys? This is going to be Xavier Hutchinson if we didn't get a wide receiver. We got a tight end. This is going to be Xavier Hutchinson. I love Xavier Hutchinson to death. We'll make it Tyler Harrell. 6'3", 200 pounds, and he is just dynamic as an athlete. Great hands. People are sleeping on him. I have him still worth a first-round pick. It is what it is. Pick 58, we have the Bengals. And, again, this is actually a good spot to go tight end. I want to see what we did in the first. We went after a guard in Osiris Torrance. So let's look at the tight ends available. It's Dalton Kincaid. We're not going to draft Dalton Kincaid. We're going to draft another player instead. We'll just go to the running back room. We're going to have the placeholder be Dwayne McBride. This is going to be the tight end Josh Wiley out of Cincinnati. I do think that guy is just so damn good. People are underrating the hell out of him, so just keep your eyes out for that. Now, the Chargers, they could get some help, like on the interior, the defensive line, but I think a running back is where you're going to get your best return. So, I am going to be able to target. They like UCLA boys. We're going to say Zach Charbonnet is going to be the combo back there. I'm going to show some love for my former high school teammate there. He's going to make an appearance in round 2 mock. Eagles are sitting here. Yeah, you guys are going to be perfectly fine. You can get freaking Zach Evans, Devon Achane, Blake Corum, Tank Bigsby, Deuce Vaughn. I'm going to go Devon Achane, though. I know you guys are looking for somebody to be more of a 3-down, but when you have 4.24 speed in that backfield, I don't think you're going to be complaining. Jared Verse was the first-round pick there for the Ravens. We're going to get him a towering threat in A.T. Perry, who just went off for over 100 yards versus Vanderbilt. So you got to watch out for that. The Buccaneers. So what do we do in the first round for them? Bijan. Woo. Hot damn. Yeah, I'm going to get some shit for that one. That's for sure. We are going to be going after a corner here. And honestly, I think that Clark Phillips has so much dynamism in him. He's just a really fun player to watch. I still have him worth a first-round pick. So, BPA is the way we roll. Pick number 63, last but not least. Let's look at what we can do to end this draft off properly for the Bills. And I think Dalton Kincaid might be a great option to add into your roster. You were looking for a backup tight end, and that dude is just so phenomenal. Like, I personally think that's the best guy left on the board. So, I think that's great. Let's do it. He's polished. He's, I think, going to be probably 24 when he plays for you guys, but the dude's great. Let me know what you guys think, though. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to stick around. Again, would love to hear your thoughts about it. See you on the far side.